We will now move on to a shorter item of the agenda, but an extremely important one, which I would like to provide a preamble myself, and then I will request the Secretary General of Federation Australasia, Abbas Ali Bhai, to provide his input from Australia. Can I ask the AV team to upload the presentation on the NGO evolution, please? Jazakallah. So whilst they are doing that, our World Federation is a non-governmental organization, and that particular NGO status has helped us certainly in two recent events in the community. One, obviously, is the crisis in Yemen, where we had to rescue the community from there to Djibouti for the safe passage. And the second is the recent COVID vaccines that we sent to Zanzibar. It was the NGO status that helped us to get those vaccines over there, and a response that came directly to us from the President of Zanzibar, Dr. Minye. If we go into the next slide, the project undertaken, the World Federation undertakes, is obviously rapid reaction to emergencies and disaster, relieving financial deprivation, providing medical facilities, necessities, and obviously engagement, interfaith, and obviously the tabligh aspect of it. If you go to the next slide, the current model really, what do we do now? We as the World Federation work with member organizations and trusts and charities and agencies in different parts of the world. We obtain first-hand knowledge of what's happening on the ground. We perform the due diligence. We assist in the collection, disbursement of funds, we support with local contracts, and provide a reporting mechanism. Now, in terms of leveraging it moving forward, we were created as an ECOSOC in 2007. I think we already discussed this. I'm just doing this for completeness and time. We have evolved, and alhamdulillah, we have an ambition. World WF Aid now is, I would say, one of the leading Ja'fari charity in United Kingdom, undoubtedly. There's a lot of work that has been done. You saw yesterday as well, and we are expanding. We work in almost every continent, in Pakistan, in India, and in Africa, and many other places. Naturally, anything that we work with the regions, we work through the regions. For example, in Africa, Bilal Muslim Mission Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda are part of Africa Federation. We work through Africa Federation, and I'm making it unequivocal. This will never change. Likewise, in Pakistan, if we are working with institutions in Pakistan, we will only work with Pakistan Federation. Likewise, in India, if it's to do with work within the Khoja community, it will be only through India Federation. However, we do work outside that domain. Like in Africa, we work with many other organizations. We work directly with a blessing, and we keep the regional federations informed about it. And the same in Pakistan, and the same in India as well. We want to grow, we want to expand. We have donors who are specifically said that we want to support your charity, but we have challenges. The challenges that we have, Mu'mineen, are compliance. Many small partners on the ground, even some of our new regions, have limited resources to support with external projects. The due diligence and oversights of partners within the region. There is a reputational risk for the organization, particularly if the partner entity, the NGO or the third-party entity on the ground doesn't have the infrastructure to deliver. There are anti-money laundering guidelines. There are certain aspects that donors demand. High-quality needs assessment. The scrutiny that is done by the Treasury team, we have a compliance officer, Sister Malika Ali Bhai, who scrutinizes, know your donor, get the facts, what is the needs assessment, what is delivered on the ground, how do you report the deliverables, how do you bring back the report, and how do you measure the return on social investment of what you have invested on the ground. These are a lot of things to do. And we are struggling. We want to work, donors are saying we can give you millions more, but where is your governance? We sometimes stop donations because we can't deliver. We don't have boots on the ground. Hence, there is increased governance, and this is only going to continue, Mu'mineen. So our humble suggestion really to the House is a proposal, on the next slide, is to establish affiliate entities within each region to work closely with the regional federations to to ensure compliance, particularly when it comes to any anti-money laundering guidelines. The needs assessment requiring as per the UK charity requirements. So there has got to be a direct link with London, and people from London will have to be coming on the ground, working with the people employed on the ground. Train and empower the volunteers on the ground, and this, believe you me, is significantly going to increase our donor trust and donations itself. So this is our proposal. Now, at the last conference, as far as timelines are concerned, next slide, why do we say now? We could have discussed this. Like, it takes years to open a charity or a trust in a different jurisdiction. Couple of years. We applied after the discussion in London many years ago to open an NGO office in Iraq. We do a lot of work in Iraq. It's been almost 3 years, we still haven't got approval. In Pakistan, we are told the same thing. In India also, the same thing. So the timelines are challenging, and as I said, the global governance also requires us to move forward. I'm sure it is Azan time in India now. Yeah, alhamdulillah. You are reminding us we still have an hour. So we passed the resolution at the January 2021 to give us the support to open an entity in India. Alhamdulillah, this house was supportive and has allowed us and facilitated. We haven't started any work, but inshallah we will work with the support of India Federation to continue the path. That probably will take a few years. That's fine, no problem. The follow-up from that is that the Executive Council today, we have a humble suggestion. Yeah, if you can move forward, yeah. We have a humble suggestion. Australia, Federation of Australasia is a donor. They don't need money, they send money. They send money to the COVID relief, alhamdulillah, in India. Recently, they helped us with oxygen cylinders. Through the World Federation, payment is made to UK, and then there's all these compliance requirements that are significantly increasing. And obviously, they sent also oxygen cylinders to Africa during the pandemic. They have a suggestion, and the suggestion which we agree with as office bearers is to open an office, an entity in Australia that can help the donor bank in Australia to support and send funds directly to various entities globally, rather than rerouting through London, where there is a currency risk, where there's a compliance issues, and many, many other challenges. So our humble suggestion today is that I would like to give the floor to Abbas Ali Bhai to explain the rationale as to why Federation of Australasia feels that we should, and we feel that this will be an important milestone in the history of this organization to increase our donor bank so that we can continue to work for the betterment of people, particularly in India, Pakistan, and Africa, who are the recipients of those funds from Australia. So with that, I will request the Secretary General, Abbas Ali Bhai, to give a preamble on this.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and good afternoon from Sydney, Australia. My apologies firstly for not being consistently online. It's a weekend that's busy after COVID lockdown. There's been 2 weddings we've had to attend, and in between we've had the wiladat of Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam. Thank you for everyone else who's attended and for your patience, and thank you for taking the time to hear me out as well. We've been working with WF Aid since 2018 when we started with the Yemen fundraiser here. And when the WF Aid members arrived in Australia, we raised at one event that they attended was almost $500,000 through through the Imam Hassan Center and FAC here in Australia, which was then transferred to WF Aid. In 2019, a very interesting thing happened, is that the Lebanese community had a wish to raise a lot of funds for Lebanon, and particularly an orphanage in Lebanon. They were very trusting of WF Aid after having met the executives at WF Aid who had come to Australia the year previous, and on the one evening raised almost $800,000. And it was because of the trust in WF Aid. And to be very honest, I was a bit surprised as to how fast WF Aid and the World Federation was accepted as a trusted body to send funds to. Since 2019, since January 2020, I believe Mohammed Damji is on this call and he'll correct me as he has the accounts better than I have, and he'll correct me where I'm wrong. But since January 2020 to just, I think, October, currently over $1 million has been sent from Australia to WF Aid. We're having challenges here, as Safder Bhai explained, is compliance is one. Two is that the non-COJA organizations currently would like to send funds through WF to WF Aid, including their COMS payments, but there is always hesitancy when there's a middle person involved. So by going directly to WF Aid in Australia would allow them to have more surety that there is no middle person involved, and it gives them more confidence. And because of the trust they have in WF Aid, they feel that to be more comfortable. The issue that we are about to start facing here more and more, as some of the Western countries are having, is the compliance of sending funds to certain countries and the amount of paperwork we have to do, but also through organizations such as Austrac, who now hold the funds when we transfer them overseas. I give you an example, is we sent a small amount to Kenya and the funds were held in the United States, I think for almost 30 days until it got cleared. And that is causing us problems because we were not the final entity that was going to be providing funds. Because WF8 does the work itself on the ground, they are given a different form of exemptions than we would have here. So that is the reason that although in some of our committee members believe it could be competitive against the funds we raise, but we believe that for the betterment of helping humanitarian causes, that if WF8 had its own office here with its own office bearers separate from us, so the WF appoints its own people there, it would work better for us, but it will also encourage more donations to the community and throw WFA to act. So I ask, please, that the World Federation body allows the WF to go to this line. I'll hand that back to the Secretariat, please.
Thank you very much, Abbas Ali Bhai, for this proposal from the Federation of Australasia to open an entity in Australia. I would like now to open the floor for discussion on this subject. And as I mentioned, that we, the office bearers, feel this will really help us with all the compliance issue and make our life much easier and strengthen the donations from Australia to the global communities where it's needed.